Hey, what's going on? You know what time it is. It's the What's Good podcast with Brandon Lawrence. Austin Berry's going to be joining us shortly. We've got a great guest for you today. It's Councilwoman, attorney Jessica Green. She's a friend of mine, a friend of the show, and she's here. I mean, here's the thing.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, hey, everybody. Jessica, well, Councilwoman Green, I'm sorry.
Jessica's fine. That's my name.
Jessica, what's going on? What's going on in District 1? That's your district,
yes,
right?
Yes. Lots of good going on in the hood right now. Out on Cane Run Road, you may notice out there that we are building a new Family Scholar House. So Family Scholar House is already present in the Parkland neighborhood. So District 1 will be the only district in the entire city that has 2 Family Scholar Houses. And so Family Scholar House is a program for single parents who are in college. They need a place to live, and so they provide them with a lot of support. So we've got a new one going up out on Cane Run Road. In addition to that Family Scholar House, there is also affordable senior living that's going on up out there, as well as housing for foster children who have aged out of the foster care system. And so as an attorney who does primarily my work in the family court system, I know and very well aware of the fact how young people age out of foster care, then they don't have any place to go. And so that's something that's coming up. Also, that's going on in District 1, you may have noticed over at Russell Lee Park that we just got a new basketball court. We just got new playground equipment, and now I rode by the other day and they've actually started working on our walking trail that's going on over there. And so, of course, we've always got speed bumps, curb cuts that are going on. So a lot of great things that are coming up. And so in this last couple of months of the year, I will be seeing all of our seniors out at our assisted living facility places in District 1. And so I'll be seeing all of our seniors within the next month, making my rounds to all of our neighborhood association meetings. So a lot of great and exciting things that are going on. And so hello to all of District 1 constituents and friends. Also, we do have the District 1 4x4 club that is going on right now. And so as the year progresses and as the winter progresses, we are looking for volunteers, folks who are willing to sign up to help seniors go get their medicine and go get their food. And so this is a service that is provided free of charge to our seniors in our district.
So, yeah, that Family Scholar House, that's interesting.
It's awesome. It's a wonderful program.
And is that for single dads?
Single
moms?
Yes. So I know of several single dads who have taken advantage of the program down at the Parkland Family Scholar House, and they've done wonderfully. So it's a great program.
Yeah, it is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Because education, the kids,
yeah.
You want to keep your family together. And
actually, my paralegal at my law office, Danita, is actually a graduate from the Parkland Family Scholar program. Went on to school, got her paralegal degree, and she's amazing. She's wonderful.
All right, cool. Shout out to Danita.
Hey, Danita. Hey, girl.
Hey, look. And since we got you here, we might as well talk a little bit of politics. Let's start with some state politics. This guy, Jeff Hoover, out of, where's he from?
Jamestown, Kentucky.
Jamestown. I thought that was in Virginia, but...
Apparently we got a Kentucky that's called Jamestown. Yeah. Who knew?
Jamestown, Virginia. We got your man, Jeff Hoover. He's, I guess he's an admitted... he admitted wrongdoing.
Yeah, and apparently settled a civil lawsuit with an employee up there at the Kentucky State House. And so I only know what it is that I've read. He said he did not admit to any sexual acts. He did admit there were some inappropriate text messages, but he did say that his wife and his daughter have forgiven him. So he's asking for the forgiveness of the individuals in the state of Kentucky. And so there was some sort of settlement. That young woman was represented by Thomas Clay, an attorney in town.
So the woman's represented by T. Clay.
Right, correct.
Okay.
And he had an attorney as well, and so they negotiated some sort of a settlement to keep the matter out of court. And then all heck kind of broke loose over the weekend when people became aware of the fact that there was something going on and there had been some kind of a settlement.
Well, yeah, I mean, then it was like 2 or 3 other guys. I don't know,
yes.
Council people or I don't know if they were council people or if they were like staff members or whatever.
Something up there going on, yeah.
Representative Jim DeCesare, I don't even know, Representative Michael Meredith, Representative Brian Linder. They were also facing some harassment allegations, and it looks like I don't know if they were involved in a separate settlement or what. So, but our Governor Bevin was saying that everybody that has settled something needs to resign. So your man didn't resign. Jeff Hoover didn't resign. He stepped down from his leadership position in one of those boards. Or
yes, he was the chair of the
Speaker of the House, right?
Yes, of the GOP caucus, so the Speaker of the House, and so he did actually step down, and the pro tem, kind of the second guy, has stepped up.
And Matt Bevin is a Republican. So Matt Bevin, the governor, asked his own party, people in his own party, to step down if they were if they had settled any harassment claims. And we move on. We move down here. That's up in Frankfurt. We move. I guess it's T. Clay. T. Clay's like the go-to guy for sexual harassment.
That's what they tell me.
So I mean, it's not funny, but I mean, that's what he is, I guess. So but we come back home. We come to Louisville, okay, and of course everybody around here knows that we had an embattled council person, Dan Johnson. We talked about Dan Johnson last week. They were at the time we taped last week. Dan Johnson, I guess the council, you guys were in closed session or whatever about whether or not to remove or to go ahead with the removal hearing for Dan Johnson, and it did not happen. Flash forward to this week, it did not happen. Actually, Dan Johnson was allowed to keep his seat, due in large part to female Democrats. Because Dan Johnson's a Democrat. Female Democrats allowed voting for him to keep his seat. And, the leader of this city, a lot of people were upset with that and showed their frustration on social media and a bunch of other avenues. But the one thing that came out of it as well was that the mayor, the leader of the city, as well as, didn't say anything. And the leader of the council, David Yates, voted for Dan Johnson to keep his seat as well. And I mean, how is that as far in full disclosure? Of course, the allegations, Dan Johnson admitted to sexually harassing the person that's sitting here now, Councilwoman Jessica Green. So
and let me say that it was not just me. There are two other other women involved in this. Right. In this case, plus a litany of other reasons that the five of us on the charging committee do not believe that he is appropriate for office. And so I cannot tell you the rationale behind the vote last week. I was very, very, very disappointed. I was very disturbed, and I think that the vast majority of Louisvillians were disturbed. And so I said last week that open season has been declared on women on the federal level, at the state level, and now sadly at the local level. And so it's terrible messaging that we as a body sent to the citizens of Jefferson County. And so I've been following a lot of the posts that people have been making. People have sent me encouraging messages, because this over the last 5.5 months has been very stressful at times. But I always just kind of felt like that I was doing the right thing, which was telling what had happened with me and to be able to give the other women a voice. And so to not even be allowed to even get out of the gate last week was disappointing. It was hurtful. I feel like I was just kind of put on a hamster wheel, and that my time was wasted by my colleagues, by the county attorney's office. Part of the rationale that was provided is that the law is unclear. Well, the law is the same law at the time that we filed these charges, and no one expressed any concern at that time that we should not proceed. The law is the same law at the time that the Democratic caucus issued their statement saying resign by August the 1st or a charging committee will be formed, and nobody had those concerns then. And so again, it was a major letdown. And so here we are, a week out, literally today, from that vote on November the 1st, and there are allegations that the individual has already violated the terms of the agreement. And so my understanding is they've put together a panel that will review that. But I do find it somewhat laughable that the individual was allowed to keep his job last week based on what the allegations were. And now a week later, we're talking about removal for being somewhere 5 to 10 minutes after a meeting, or because somebody made a Facebook post that somebody doesn't like. I mean, I strongly believe that was really just about the pushback that the people in the city gave. And so now people are kind of scrambling for cover, but it's just crazy. It's just really been crazy.
Yeah, man, it's wild stuff. I mean, a lot of things go through your head. I know go through everybody's head. What if it was somebody else? Would they be treated the same? Things like that. But immediately, what came to my mind, Jessica, was you're, an accomplished attorney, but obviously well liked, voted in by the people. So the people in the district, they definitely like you in your district, and you're well known across the city. And you, when it happened, I mean, I know if it was me, probably smacked them upside the head or something. You held your composure. You told the appropriate people. Didn't go, crazy about it, publicly, and handled it in a, I don't say respectful with the allegations. What he admitted to doing, it was ridiculous. What he did, it was crazy. And especially with what's going on all now with, you got the Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, everything, Trump, everybody, right?
Well, let me say, Brandon, I recognize that I come from a place of privilege as a woman who is educated, owns a business, owns a home, comes from the point of being an elected official. And I know what this experience has been like for me post-disclosure. And so I think about women who don't come from that same perch that I come from. Right. And heck, why in the world will people ever come forward if you're going to be scrutinized, if you're going to be called a liar? I tried to do everything right. I disclosed literally the same day that this incident happened to the council president, to the Democratic caucus, literally within about 2 to 3 hours after the same day. And so try to do everything appropriate that any victim should do, and still to have had my name drugged through the mud and allegations of folks saying I'm lying, which again, I don't know why I would lie about something like this. There is no reason to lie. And so I really, really sympathize with women out there who have gone through this. I was a prosecutor for the vast majority of my legal career, so for about 8 years. And so I was assigned to the domestic violence unit, where I prosecuted domestic violence and sex crimes at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office under Dave Stengel. And so I had experience from a professional level of dealing with victims and how difficult it is, but never in my life of being as old as I am had I ever experienced anything like this. And still on some level that other victims have had to go through, my experience cannot even compare to what it is that people have to go through. But I think I have a little bit more understanding and a little bit more empathy. And so if that was just God's will out of this whole situation for me to go through, is to be able to understand a little bit more what women have to go through or victims have to go through, then I will accept that.
I mean, yeah, and you made a great point as far as you being a former prosecutor. I mean, really, what happens is, it's a chilling effect. If a person in your position is faced that type of scrutiny and backlash, a person without any type of that's not elected, it's just a regular person. Yep. It's a chilling effect.
It is a chilling effect, and so again, the idea that we weren't even able to even get out of the gate last week to be able to even present evidence, to be able to allow people to be able to judge our credibility, or to be able to put on the record what evidence we had was very disappointing. But I've told people that for my own sanity, for my own peace, I've had to come to a place of peace and to just be able to release this into the atmosphere, because carrying around this anger, any level of anger or animosity, would make it very difficult for me to be able to function and move forward, or to be able to legislate effectively for the people that I was elected by. And so people have called me, they've asked me how I'm doing. I'm doing great, I'm doing fine. And so if but nothing more, that there was light shed on this issue, what the victim process is like, and what it is that women have to go through, and that we here in Jefferson County, what a disappointing vote it was by our elected officials last week. If only but for that reason, I will accept that. But I have released it into the atmosphere, and I can't carry any of that anger with me. And so I'm doing just fine. I'm fine.
Well, that's great. And it's good to hear. I mean, but you know, from my perspective, it was like it was pretty much like you were on trial, rather than the person, the actual perpetrator, the admitted perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes you wonder. It's just it's wild stuff going on. It's, you know, all across the country, and people's attitudes toward women, and it's really mind-boggling. It's crazy stuff. But you know, hey, I'm glad you made it through and
cool.
persevering and still doing the work that you were voted in to do, and continue to do that. You know, I was thinking about we were thinking about not, well, I guess, you know, the legal lines, of course, with the publicity of everything, and the whole Dan Johnson thing, which is crazy enough. But what was, I mean, was anything in particular going to, do you think, in the beginning, did you have any doubt that, you know, which way a vote was going to go, or did you even think about that? I mean, I would have thought it was like a done deal, that the guy was,
what is so interesting is that he had been walking around for the last several months, he and his attorney, stating that he would never be voted off because he had the votes to stay. And my colleagues know I never spoke to one colleague in advance of that hearing last week. You know, I did not believe it was appropriate to try to lobby anybody. I just felt like we present what the evidence is, you vote your conscience, you vote what you believe is appropriate. So I didn't try to lobby anybody. It would not have shocked me so much if the vote had ended the way that it would have ended on the back end, because, you know, these things are political.
Right.
He's been there a lot longer than I have, and has built a lot more relationships and loyalty amongst folks up there. But I gotta tell you what, it threw me really for a loop that they wouldn't even let us even get out of the gate, and that people were just saying, we don't want to spend the money, we don't want to spend the time, I got work to do, I don't want to be up here. And my God, in 2014, the council, before I got there, spent 4.5 months investigating what happened with a freaking dog at Louisville Metro Animal Services. And the mayor launched a public integrity investigation at that time. So all those resources were put together about a pit bull, Louisville Metro Sadie, in 2014. And I probably would have been for that to do the investigation. However, the fact that people did not feel that my life and the other two women and the stories of the other allegations in that charging committee warranted enough time or energy to even spend a smidge of what this body spent on investigating what happened to a dog, it really says a lot. It really says a lot about the value of a woman's life. It particularly says a lot about the value of a black woman's life. And, I mean, it's not good messaging at all.
And Jessica, just to take it a step further, you don't have to go this far, but I want to, I'm thinking, okay, you're an accomplished person, and you know, I mean, you're not the only accomplished person. I mean, I'm not. It's not. It's nothing. It's not news, but I mean, it is obviously it's an accomplishment. You're an accomplished person. You're an accomplished woman. You're African American. I mean, your whole family is accomplished, right? And what? And we're I'm a little bit older than you, but we're in the same profession, and we're in the same city. We work and go to the court, blah blah blah. What do you, did did you even think about? I thought about it, but I don't. And maybe you didn't think about it. Did you think about what kind of message that sends to young girls, particularly young African American girls, and young men as well, and young professionals in the city, as far as a value that's placed on the city's attitude toward, and maybe I'm stretching too far, but I thought about it, about the attitude that the city in total has about young African American professional males and females.
It's really disappointing. So I'm the youngest person on the council. I'm 36. I'll be 37 in April, and so I am young enough to be most people's daughter, and some people I'm young enough to actually be their granddaughter who on the council. And so I think that there was a generational divide here, a gap here, a lack of understanding. I think that for some women, particularly in the older generation, women just had to deal with stuff, and you just suck it up. You don't tell anybody, and that's just what it is. But we live in a day and age where we are encouraging our kids to speak up if somebody does something inappropriate. I'm a mother of 3 kids, and so I'm always talking to my kids, and half of the time they were little, about what you do if somebody touches you inappropriately, how you step up, and how you should tell the proper authorities, your parents, your teacher, whomever it is that you're around. And so that's what I try to do. And I think that, again, this message was, I think, rough for me to digest, because it was just horrible messaging all around. Horrible messaging to women, horrible messaging to black folk, horrible messaging to youngish people about the value of your lives and how we see you, and how as a city of Louisville we're going to embrace you. Moving forward, what I hope that happens is that the dialogue continues, and to not just, okay, next week this is lost in the news when the next big thing comes out, and that because people are frustrated, they are angry. So I don't want people to forget how angry you are in right now, and so carry that and let it propel you forward to continue talking about this, to continue being able to discuss disparities in gender, in race, in age, and what we've got to do to make sure that this kind of thing never happens again to anybody else.
And I think that's a great place to leave it. I mean, that's the thing, whenever you can tell, I guess, the true character and quality of a leader, when something happens, it's not about, you don't emphasize the self part of it, you emphasize how it affects everyone else.
Yeah.
And
I have tried to decrease myself as much in this, and because I don't want this to be a story about Jessica Green. I want it to be a story about inequities for all women of color, for all young women of color, and for all people in the city of Louisville, and for us to just keep the dialogue going. Hi, I'm Councilwoman Jessica Green from District 1, and you are tuning in currently to the What's Good podcast.
Hey yo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.